Well, this is a short tutorial on how to use Excel, especially in the application of Project G42. What we're going to use Excel for is to increment some values and then plot some values. Let's say we want to start with something, we're going to increment something from 0 degrees to something else. So let's just start a column called degrees. And let's just hit 1, 2, 3, oops, sorry, 3. And what we're going to do, you can see that I got a series going here. It's really easy for Excel. Once it identifies a series, is just to keep on going with that series. Pretty easy. Just highlight it and drag it down. Now, one thing Excel does not do is it doesn't understand degrees. It only understands radians. So if you have degrees, then it's usually easiest to convert it to gradians. So I'm going to just start another column called radians, and I'm going to convert those degrees into radians by writing a little formula. So this cell is going to be equal to radians of whatever cell I name. So I'm going to call this is the cell I care about. Now you can see what I'm doing up here is I'm saying whatever is in cell A2, which is right here, I'm going to convert it to radians by doing that. And then this also can be dragged down very easily, and what it does is it just replicates that formula on down such that this is now the cell that is converting this cell into radians, as you can see, A18, which is right there. If you want to do a sine or a cosine of that, just hit sine or type sine and just label what we're doing there is just labeling the columns. But let's say that I want to find the sine of whatever is in this column right there. And now I have that. And again, that will replicate down easily. And you can also replicate going across as well. And let's say we want to find the cosine of that angle as well. And we're going to take that one right there. Again, don't try to do the cosine of the degrees. It gets kind of confused. But if you use the right cell that you're doing that with, then just put that down. Now you may find that you got too many digits of resolution, so kind of what you do there is highlight the columns that you want to reduce it. You go over here, this is more digits, this is less digits, and maybe you have to convert it to a number, but now you have fewer digits of resolution and it looks a little bit better. Maybe 3 is what we want. Now, this is the kind of a common problem is you start with something and you go, oh man, I wish I'd started at a different number. Let's say instead of starting at 1, we should have started at 0. But let's just add a row in here by just inserting a row. Now I've got a space. What I can do then is just take these and replicate them backward this way. And so instead of starting at 0 or 1 now I have something that starts at 0, which is kind of handy. If we want to graph something, then just highlight what you want to graph, just like this. Actually, before we do that, let's replicate this all the way out to a bunch of degrees, like maybe 200 degrees. So I'm just going to drag that down, and you can see it continues on going. I'm just going to go all the way down to a couple of hundred degrees, and you can kind of see over here on the number of rows about how we're doing, and you can see that. Now let's just graph this. I'm going to grab all this data like this, highlight it, I'm going to insert, and then over here you get a bunch of types of charts. I find that the scatter chart right there is often the easiest to use for something like this, so I'm just going to hit scatter, and I'm just going to put the line chart right there, and there we have the chart. For all of that stuff that I highlighted, it puts the degrees on the x-axis and everything else on the y-axis. Do I really care about the radians? I don't, even though it was in the area that I highlighted. So if we want to get rid of that and just talked about the sine and cosine, just highlight it, delete it, and it's gone. So now you can see what's in the graph. All right, so that's kind of the way you do it. You can chart anything. We could have charted this with just sine against degrees or just cosine against degrees, but the nice thing about Excel is you can put a lot of multiple graphs in one graph if you wish. Anyway, so that kind of gets you started. Obviously you're not charting sine and cosine, you're charting something else, but this kind of gives you an idea of how to get started.